Make a sizable donation to Ms. Mark's campaign. Just make sure that it could be tied back to a big, scary drug dealer. Me.
Now, this cat and mouse game between Tommy and law enforcement, I do have to admit, is arguably one of the most enjoyable aspects to watch in this final season of Force. The FBI have always been on Tommy's tail, which you can trace all the way back to season 1, but since Tommy beat Stacy Marks in season 2, they've turned it into a very intricate set of triangles, betrayals, snitching, and you also now have the added element of an inside man. Vic Flynn is Stacy Marks' CI, but is controlled by Tommy Egan. As of episode 3, we now have AUSA Seng revealed to be working for the Ortegas, the Marquez cartel, and to now throw a spanner in the works, Stacy Marks has gone and decided to let Claudia Flynn be released from jail, all while she's trying to front-run her campaign to become mayor of Chicago. So what's next with these couple of triangles and the battle between Tommy and law enforcement? That's the topic of this particular breakdown. Last week I mentioned there was a triangle within a triangle with the revelation of AUSA Seng. I did get the habit of actually calling him Detective Seng for some reason, but he definitely is an AUSA. But we had the revelation of Seng working for the Ortegas, and now we have another, with Claudia Flynn in the frame. So we will be taking a look at this intricate chess game that we have between all these players, the streets and law enforcement, step by step and player by player, in all things Power Book 4 Force Season 3. Now, having Claudia Flynn rot in jail for the best part of 4 episodes, I do think was probably just the right amount of time. She served a big purpose early on by fueling the war between Tommy and the Marquez cartel in episode 1, but ever since she's been in survival mode, and she still is, even though she now has wings. Because not only will Tommy be after Claudia, so will AUSA Seng through the Marquez cartel, or however he decides to play the game from here. We are going to be coming to Tommy and Seng's role in just a moment, but we have to start with Stacy Marks and just mention what a crazy desperate move this is, letting Claudia Flynn out of jail. I mean, history has proven trusting a Flynn that never ends well. You do also get Dre vibes from Claudia Flynn, a cat with 9 lives, someone who just keeps on surviving despite all the odds, despite her earning her death 5 times over. Dre killed a fan favourite in Julio back in Power, and Claudia did the same with Liliana back in Force Season 1. She just won't go away. But the main thing to remember about a Flynn, and definitely Claudia Flynn, she'll have no problem betraying you in a heartbeat. And for Stacy Marks to put Claudia back on the streets and put her trust in another Flynn to get what she wants, I mean, it really is a huge risk. Back in Power Book 2 Ghost, I used to say never trust a Tejada, but in Force, it's never trust a Flynn. She's had Vic Flynn working for her under Tommy for the best part of 9 episodes, it's coming up to 10, and so far she's no closer to catching Tommy than she was back in 205. If anything, she's even further away because she has no idea that Vic is actually now working for Tommy, not Stacy. She may have got Claudia and Roberto Ortega, but we all know it's Tommy she really wants. She's wanted Tommy from the jump, but in this final season, she's not just obsessed with catching Tommy, she's also obsessed with her own ambition. She wants to run for the mayor's office, she's got her campaign, even though she's going through a divorce. You would have thought she would have wanted to save her marriage, she'd sit down with Bobby, admit the mistakes that she's made, maybe even make sacrifices and compromises from her end. But it was clear to see in that conversation that they had, she cares more about this than anything else. We as the audience often look at power from the lens of a drug dealer, like Tariq St. Patrick in Power Book 2 Ghost, Tommy in Force, Raquel, the Thomases, or Unique in Raising Kanan. They're all after power in the streets. They're all chasing power, control, powder, respect. That's the lens that we often see when it comes to power, but it's the same thing in the political world and within law enforcement. These guys are just as grimy and dirty when they're on the hunt for that power in the world that they're in. 50 Cent said it best in an interview, I believe, not word for word. He said, in the streets, at least you know who your enemy is. You know they're going to come at you with a gun, so you're more aware. But in the boardroom, these guys are going to be stabbing you in your back with a paper and pen. An example from Power was how Simon Stern did it with Ghost. Another example from Power from within law enforcement from that aspect and that world was Mike Sandoval, who was working with Felipe Lobos. And a recent example from Force, AUSA Seng, who is also after Stacy Marks' job as well. And who knows how far he's actually willing to go. We're going to come to that in just a moment. So it's always good to keep in mind that power isn't just those guys in the streets, it's everywhere. Just have a look at the political game in the real world, a very dirty and grimy world. But Stacy Marks has been so obsessed with her own ambition, everything around her seems to be going wrong. She let the mistake go right under her nose with the wrong digit on the address of the warrant, which is the biggest case of her career. I mean, if this case means that much to you, your career and your run for the mayor's office, you check everything, double check, triple check, you do what you need to do to make sure this case is airtight. Attention to detail. Again, another example from Power was how Frankie told Angela back in season 1, you can't have a boyfriend, a personal life, this is your life here. If this case means that much to you, Attend court to argue Ortega's lawyer's motion to suppress the drugs and cash yourself, or you go and have Seng as your second chair. Instead, she sent Seng because she's too busy in front of the cameras giving speeches and chasing power elsewhere. There are no other ways to put it. She took one eye off the ball when she should have been delivering the hammer blow on this case. And now it's all about to turn to shit because let's be real, come on, I mean, there is no way Claudia Flynn is going to be delivering Tommy. That ain't happening in a million years. Tommy is way too smart to be caught lacking by someone who he knows has been talking to law enforcement. Now, the reason why this situation is getting very interesting is because there's a big chess game at play here. AUSA Seng has entered the frame, who did change the digit on the address of the warrant, and we also know what he wants after watching episode 4. He's after Stacy Marks' job. He wants to walk into Stacy Marks' office as the new US Attorney of Chicago by letting Stacy Marks fumble the Marquez cartel case. He then plans to swoop in and use Claudia Flynn to deliver Tommy Egan for him instead. And this is what I meant earlier about the power game. Backstabbing, snitching, behaving like a snake, that goes on at boardroom level and within law enforcement as well. They're all chasing that power, a seat at the table or the throne. It's just a different throne compared to the one in the streets. But I do have to say, he is also playing a very dangerous game himself. He had that dinner with his partner Emma where she did warn him about keeping the information around Claudia Flynn being back in play for law enforcement from the Ortegas, from Shen the Ortega's lawyer. He didn't want to warn the Marquez cartel because if he did, then they probably would have made a play for her in prison to finally take her out before she got wings or before she could talk. The Marquez cartel would have definitely taken her out in prison. But again, goes back to the point around power and characters looking out for their own self-interests. Seng was looking out for his own. He wants Stacy Marks' office, and the play that he believes will get him there is use Claudia Flynn to get to Tommy. But then he was also in panic mode towards the end of episode 4 when he found out Stacy Marks had given Claudia Flynn wings, and also how she's agreed to testify against the Marquez cartel. So what does Seng do from here? I mean, he's definitely got a big problem because now there's someone free who's a danger to Roberto Ortega and the Marquez cartel. You'll have Shen and the Ortegas questioning why they weren't kept in the loop around what was happening around Claudia. He also told Ortega's lawyer he's basically got free reign and control of the entire office. Well, clearly he doesn't if Claudia Flynn is walking free from jail, and has also agreed to testify against Roberto Ortega. So definitely big problems ahead for AUSA Seng. So what does he do from here? He has a Claudia Flynn problem, he also has a Marquez cartel problem, because when they find out he hasn't been 100% honest for his own selfish gain, we know the cartel can be very ruthless. The one thing he can definitely do for sure is blow up the Marquez cartel case entirely. Just fumble it and maybe even put it on Stacy Marks. That's the one thing he can definitely do at this moment in time, because without that case, if the case is being thrown out by the judge, Claudia Flynn actually becomes useless. But make no mistake, Seng is definitely under big pressure going into episode 5 as well. Maybe he fumbles the case and puts it on Stacy Marks, or maybe he does need to get rid of Claudia. Or, as I mentioned on a post on X post episode 4, bold prediction, Seng to kill Stacy Marks in a Mike Sandoval 2.0 moment. Stacy Marks uncovers that Seng is a mole working for the Ortegas, and in that moment, he makes a split decision, and bang. I mean, it really would be a crazy twist. As I mentioned earlier on, the world within politics and law enforcement is very dirty, grimy, and power-hungry as the streets, as we've seen before in the world of power. You also have to wonder how they've slowly been stripping away Stacy Marks of everything that she has. I mean, just think about it for a moment. She's going through a divorce with Bobby DeFranco. She's lost her husband. Her case is no doubt about to come crashing down because Seng will probably destroy it, and Claudia Flynn definitely won't be getting Tommy for her either. Tommy's also gone and made the biggest contribution to her campaign, and with everything else, we know her run for the mayor's office will also come crashing down as well. The only thing she actually has left is her job as a US Attorney of Chicago. I mean, once they take that away, that's game over for Stacy Marks. And we know what happens in power when they start stripping a character of everything that they have. So definitely just something to keep in mind going into episode 5. Either way, whether that happens or not, that's just a scenario that I've thrown out there. Whatever happens, Seng definitely is still under big pressure. Now, how does Tommy actually play this going forward? I think when it comes to Stacy Marks, on a personal level, we know what his plan is. He's already put it into motion in episode 4. He contributed $1 million to a campaign, which he did say make it known that it is from a major drug dealer himself. The same drug dealer that she's been trying to put in an orange jumpsuit. That will no doubt raise questions with the media, the DNC. There's also the added problem of her not being backed by the CPD. And honestly, it really is all set up for a campaign to fail. And Tommy will definitely play a big part. I think we also know Tommy is way too smart to be caught lacking by Claudia Flynn in episode 5. Stacy Marks' plan to use Claudia Flynn as bait, which was actually Claudia's plan, but there's no way Tommy bites. He's way too smart. I'm sure he'll have another plan up his sleeve, that's for sure. What that is and how he plans to attack Claudia, He's told her over the phone that he does want to meet her face to face, make sure that she is on her own. Whether he plans to maybe use her to flip on the Marquez cartel, or whether he does actually plan on finally getting rid of Claudia, I'm not too sure on him killing Claudia at this moment. Not that she doesn't deserve it, she 100% does, because Tommy won't have forgotten what she did to Liliana. He made a promise, and trust me, he definitely will be keeping it. But with law enforcement watching, I'm not sure if the right move is to kill Claudia in episode 5, but who knows? Maybe he uses someone else to do his dirty work for him. Maybe he doesn't even need to put his murdering gloves on. There will definitely be a big death in episode 5, that's for sure. Let's see if it's Claudia, let's see if it's Stacy Marks, JP, Seng, or maybe someone else. And let's see what Tommy's also got planned up his sleeve. And also the same with Vic Flynn.
Looks like he's walking all over you. We need a leader.
Let's hit him where it hurts.
Now, with Vic Flynn, he's been under big pressure since episode 205. Stacy Marks has had a chain around his neck going back 9 episodes, and now Tommy also has one. But in recent times, he has found cracks in Stacy Marks' armor through his relationship with Ray, but Tommy is still a very big problem for Vic. But he will be making some moves in episode 5. We've got a couple of guys who approached him in the trailer for episode 5. It looks like he will be getting a new crew of his own. It just depends on how strong he can actually become. And I still do maintain, power can shift very quickly in the world of power. I mean, just think about this for a moment. If Tommy becomes a lone wolf by being kicked out of the CBI with just D-Mac as his number 2, Vic Flynn is then able to find another crew that can back him, who have a lot of numbers, territory. Even though on paper Tommy versus Vic is no match, the balance of power does start to slightly shift because of the circumstances Tommy's going to find himself in. So definitely just something to keep in mind. I do think Tommy will have his back against the wall. It's just a question of, what's Vic's next move here? How does he play it? Because he does want out from the shackles of Tommy's chains as well. So definitely just some food for thought here with Vic Flynn. But that's a wrap with where we are with law enforcement for the moment post episode 4 going into episode 5. A very interesting dynamic which, honestly, I can't wait to see how it unfolds. With that being said, the floor is now yours. Drop all your thoughts down below in the comment section, and as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.